Layla Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Did you know if you search up female bodybuilder, you're one of the first people who turn up?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Someone told me that a while ago. I think it's a shot from like 2021. Yeah. Someone sent me a screenshot of it and was like, oh, by the way, thanks. That's good to know. It's good to know.
I guess that begs the question then, are you natural?
Yes. Yeah. I get that a lot. Most of the time from strangers who don't know what they're talking about, so I don't take much heed. But yeah, I am natural. I compete drug tested. I'm going to get drug tested this year. A lot of people will be wanting to know, should I spend some time off? Yes, yeah. I compete in only tested feds, really, because the class that I'm in, it's like, if you compete in female bodybuilding in an untested fed, there's such a stark difference. Like, and I feel personally, one, they'd wipe the floor with me. But two, it's also like, compete in the federation that you belong in effectively. Like, I would not be of the standard of a untested female bodybuilder. I wouldn't be big enough. I wouldn't be anywhere near what they should be seeing or what they should expect to see. So when people ask me if I'm natural or not, I'm like, you don't know what untested female bodybuilding looks like. Yeah, you have no concept, because like, no, they're so much bigger than me. It's obscene. Yeah.
Well, then in that case, I'd imagine that you're wiping the floor with natural bodybuilding, or is it?
That's quite the. I'm trying. I know what I want to show in natural bodybuilding. In natural female bodybuilding, I know what I want to show. And I have yet to bring that to the stage, but I'm trying. And it's just, I just want to see bigger people. It's just sick. Just be absolutely wham on stage. That's what I want to see. And it doesn't seem, you don't see a lot of it. But I have to beat people to say that the standard that I'm trying to bring is what should be seen to justify it being the best.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress, but yeah.
What's the difference between the bikini bodybuilding side and then, I'm guessing, the federation you're in?
So there's different classes. So the federation I'm in is the WMBF. I compete in different federations, but primarily WMBF, the UK, and then the international branch, or UK branch and the international body. They have different classes for women. So there's, in scale of like size, I suppose you can put it, you go bikini, usually being the first one. I'm going with the standard ones because there are a lot of weird classes emerging. I say weird, I'm just a bit ignorant when it comes to it. There's like some classes emerging that I'm not too well acquainted with, but the classics are bikini, and then a size up would be wellness, and then a size up from that would theoretically be, some federations do fit model, I think, and then the next one that I know of, like IFBB standards, would be fitness or figure as well, and then physique, and then women's bodybuilding. But the federation that I'm in only does bikini, I think fit body, figure, and then women's bodybuilding. They don't do a women's physique because, being real, in tested federations, you don't get enough differentiation of size between women's physique and women's bodybuilding. The women's bodybuilding looks like a small watered down version of what women's physique looks like in the untested feds. I mean, they're aiming to, you're just not big enough. So I get why they've done that. So that's the main difference. It's just muscularity, style of posing. Sometimes it's the outfits that they wear, like the posing suits are slightly different. The poses are slightly different, but I like female bodybuilding because it's just clear cut, black and white, be the biggest, be the leanest, have symmetry, present it. That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, in that case, is bodybuilding for everyone?
That's hard. I don't think so. No, because some people just wouldn't enjoy it. Some people don't like the structure that it brings. Like, some people don't want a repetitive lifestyle, and bodybuilding is inherently like the sum of your efforts. I mean, yes, you have to present yourself on like show day, but it is a result of your efforts. So you have to consistently do the same thing all the time. Like, it doesn't need to be like mundane or rigid, but some people, just with the structure that is required, would find their life mundane and rigid. So it's not for everyone in that sense. And like, I think that if you're going to do it competitively, there has to be, if you want to win and like do well, you have to be comfortable with pushing past areas of comfort in many aspects, like whether it's self-image, whether it's like your food, your training, whether it's making hard choices around social events, that kind of stuff. You have to be okay with doing that. And some people, that's like, it's not worth that payoff. So no, it's not for everyone, but everyone should try it, I think, 'cause it's neat.
Well, how much of it is dependent on genetics then versus just the grit and hard work and the determination?
I think it comes down to the really commonly said, like, I don't know how to put this, I've heard it said a lot where like, I think it's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? So in the same with genetics, if you have fantastic genetics and you're like that 1% and you work hard, then like you are in that tier of people that could be unbeatable, theoretically. Whereas if you work hard but you don't have the greatest genetics, provided you work hard, you still have that huge capacity to grow. Like, I don't have the best genetics when it comes to certain aspects of bodybuilding at all. Like, so I've had to push past certain things myself that other people have great genetics for. So like I'm coming at it from like a standpoint of, I know that I have decent genetics for some things, but like a good example is I don't have wide clavicles at all. I'm like the narrowest person you'll ever meet. Awful for bodybuilding, horrendous, but I can put on muscle okay, so I can work around that. So there's pluses and minuses, but if you're in that genetic elite where you have like a big advantage over everyone else, then you have a huge win over people. Like it's just going to be the case. In the same way as I suppose if you look at the Olympics, there are people who they all work equally as hard. Like if you're an Olympian and you're in that top 10 in like the sprint flights or whatever, you're going to work exactly as hard, but there are genetic elements there that will give you a one up. And like, because it's like, I mean, it's the Olympics, it should be drug tested, but you're all going to work as hard. You're all going to be under the same circumstances of like having funding theoretically to help you train the best and recover the best, and then all be drug tested and all of that. So the only real difference there theoretically is the genetic component. And there's always a winner and there's always a loser. So the people with the genetic advantage normally will be the winners, because assuming you're training to the same standard and effort and all of that, that's kind of what it comes down to in things like the Olympics. So yeah, genetics do play a big role, but it shouldn't be disheartening. It's not a limitation. It's just something that people need to work around, because I don't like the excuse of genetics of being like, oh, I can't do this because genetics. Like, yeah, well, maybe it's your mentality.
Well, like, the things I kind of get the argument, the more that I think about it, where it's like, if genetics is such a huge factor, and we live in a world now where we can see all the freaks of the freaks on social media, why would anyone bother trying? Because if they want to get into the sport, I want to win this, I want to be the best, but then it's like, if I don't have the genetics for it, I'm bound to lose. So,
but you don't know how good you could be, right? So like, you might see a genetic freak. Look at Nick Walker is a really good example of a bodybuilding male. I should use a female bodybuilder as an example, but I'm going with him. Or you can, Andrea Shaw, there you go, Miss Olympia. You look at her, she's genetically like perfect for the sport, like structure-wise, like insertion-wise, perfect. They're genetic components that you can directly see and compare. There are other people who don't have perfect genetics. Look, Angela Yeo, who came, I think, second in the Olympia, second place, didn't beat Andrea, didn't have the build to beat Andrea. It was close though. And Angela has like wider hips, slightly narrower shoulders, and they are genetic things that you can't change. You can build muscle around it, but like Angela wouldn't have known that she'd be so close. And she's beat Andrea Shaw before. She beat her in, I think it was in 2024. She beat her in, it wasn't the Olympia, but she still beat her. And it's important to know that like she wouldn't have got to the point of beating Miss Olympia if she didn't try to push, regardless of her genetic capabilities in comparison. So you could look at someone and be like, oh, I'm never going to get there, but like, how do you know unless you try? Also, you could be genetically gifted and not realize it. And don't like realize your potential until you put yourself in a position of seeing what your abilities are. Also, it's just a defeatist mentality, like try, just try.
How do you think your mentality has changed after being in the sport for a couple of years now, I'm guessing?
I think I'm just as stubborn. Yeah, it's always been the same. I've always done sport and I've always been stubborn, and I've always just like enjoyed pushing limitations, because it's like, well, how else are you going to find out unless you try to push yourself? There's nothing wrong with a bit of hard work. So I'd say my mentality is very similar, potentially more resilient just because I've been through more of life. Like I've been bodybuilding for 10 years, so a little bit of life experience. But other than that, I'm pretty much the same person, yeah.
What about dealing with self-image?
I'm actually all right with that. Like I have this conversation with people a lot because I work as a nutritionist, right? So I work with people on their food and like their self-image kind of thought processes. And I think that with bodybuilding, you have to be, or it's best if you are very objective about your image. Like someone might hear me go, oh, I'm really fat this season. It's not like, oh my God, I'm rubbish, I'm fat. It's objective. Like, yeah, my body composition is not great right now, for example. So where people might look at improvements they need to make from one show to another, or in off season versus prep or whatever, and see things they like, see things they don't like, I try to look at it, and I do look at it like, That's not my self-worth. That's not me as a human being. That's like, if you're doing a powerlifting comp, for example, and you go, I really need to work on my commands. Like, I keep forgetting the commands. It's the same in bodybuilding. Like, I need to work on my front relaxed. It looks sloppy compared to the other people. Or, yeah, I could really do with more quad sweep. Like, that's something I want to improve in next season. It's not like your worth. It's to get you better at the sport. So it's like, I need to collect points here. It's a competition. It's not like your value.
That's a good point. A lot of people take their value from, I guess, the way that they do things. And like, if I'm missing this one thing, then I'm useless. I'm worthless.
Yeah, which doesn't help you. That mentality, I say this all the time to people, that doesn't help you. Like, being self-deprecating or degrading yourself, normally people are coming at it from a perspective of wanting to be better or wanting to be something that they're not. And it's like, okay, yeah, you want to be better, or you want to be something that you're not, you want to improve, but telling yourself that you're rubbish isn't going to make you better. Like, is that going to get you up with your ass into the gym, or is that going to make you work harder on your cardio or stick to your diet better? It's probably not. You're probably going to be in a really bad mental space. So it's actually better to just support yourself and be like, okay, how can I take action to be where I want to be?
Well, I guess it's dependent though. I can see how that sort of energy where it's like, I need to do better, I'm not doing good enough right now, can be a potent energy in the short term for a lot of people to really get you going. It's probably not maintainable in the long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can understand that, not taking your self-worth from like, I'm not where I want to be, but it's more as a route towards improvement than this is my actual worth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's continuing improvement. If you get into any competitive sport, it should be a progressive want to improve. Like, you should always be wanting to get better. I suppose in anything really, if you're passionate about it, you always want to improve. You can't just stagnate, because where's the fun in that if you just stay in the same place? You always want to learn more, do more, be better, improve your skill set. So the same goes for bodybuilding. It's just, you need to be able to be in it for long enough to have the time to build that. And if you burn yourself out because you are basically having a breakdown every time you need to like hit like a certain training session, and you're like, God, I've got to get myself to like a really dark place for legs. It's like, is that good for you? Are you going to be okay in like 10 weeks time? Probably not.
Yeah. You said to me one time that you were eating less than 1,000 calories at some times for shows.
Yeah.
How does that work exactly? Because don't you need calories to maintain your muscle? So how isn't 800 calories in the bracket where you start losing?
Yeah. I mean, your risk of muscle loss is higher the lower your calories go, right? But you do also have, the purpose of when I diet is to drop body fat. Body fat is stores of energy. So yes, you risk muscle loss, but if you're able to preserve training as best as possible, your training output, like say you're lifting the same weights that you were when you were eating more, and the same volume, same intensity, that kind of thing, then you're in a better position to preserve muscle and just utilize your body fat stores for energy. So yeah, it's not nice and it's not sustainable. I do want to say that. It's very much like short-term periods, like up to a couple weeks maximum where food is that low. But like ultimately, if it's got to go there, it's got to go there. Like if the needle is not moving in the direction you need it to move, you've got to look at the variables that you have at your disposal to use, and then you've just got to do it. Yeah.
So I guess with the 800 calories period, since it's short term, are you ever doing that sort of thing for a longer period if it is getting to that you need to lose certain body weight?
No. So the logic would kind of override any thought process of, I'm not where I need to be, because one, you've got to put like a timeline in place to be where you need to be by the time you need to be there. And for me, because what I want to do in bodybuilding is showcase muscle as much as possible, I will never allow the sacrifice of muscle loss over conditioning. Like, it's bodybuilding in my eyes. Like, there best be some muscle there. Like, especially because of what I see in natural federations. Like, it frustrates me to no end what I see winning certain shows. And I can't say shit because I don't win. So, I mean, if I'm not in the competition, I can't say anything.
Right.
But if I see people winning, and I'm like, you are like only just touching 50 kilos body weight, and you're like my height, and you're winning the women's bodybuilding class, like, I have thoughts about that. So I never want to be in a position where I showcase a physique that is under-muscled for the class, because it's just such a poor representation of a class that I really love. So I would never drop food like super early, because I would always plan things in advance to be at a body composition where I wouldn't need to take it that low for that long. Yeah.
I think what you also mentioned earlier about how if you're maintaining the reps and the weight while on a lower calorie basis, you are maintaining that muscle. But is that always the case where if I lower my calories by like 300, 400, and I'm able to maintain the reps and the weight that I'm doing, am I losing only body fat and I'm keeping the muscle?
Theoretically, I mean, you're minimizing the muscle loss, minimizing it. You might look like you've lost muscle because you will be flat and depleted, but like when you eat a little bit more food, you'll be able to see that you'll be leaner, have lost body fat. The theory behind it is that you're giving your muscle stimulus enough to need to maintain, need to stay there, because you have to keep exerting this effort in the same way that you give it stimulus to grow. You give it stimulus to remain. Like if you were to do a diet and like let your training decline, your body would utilize muscle stores or muscle as an energy source as well as the fat. And you want to just preferentially bias body fat loss as opposed to muscle loss. So it's a game of like spinning plates and like mitigating damage as much as possible. That's why you don't want to go too low with food, because like you risk muscle loss at a greater degree because the deficit's higher. So your body needs energy from somewhere. It will drop weight, but you want it to be dropping from body fat stores more than anything.
What about people who drop weight and get stronger?
I mean, that happens a fair bit. I mean, if we're not looking at like IPF formulas and stuff, because like, yeah, you get stronger because your body weight's less and your strength, your absolute strength is the same, right? Because they use the way to calculate it. But that happens fairly often. Like more often than not, it's because people are, when they are dropping weight, they're on it with the diet, right? And they're on it with their recovery because they know if they don't sleep enough, they'll be really hungry the next day. They won't recover because they're on less calories. So more often than not, it's actually that they're just really on it with their training, their food, everything, because they're trying to preserve, like not be hungry and not feel like rubbish. So that in turn translates to their training being better because they're just treating themselves like a proper athlete more often than not. Sometimes it's down to the fact that you're using more stimulants because you're trying to suppress hunger as well. But other times it's also just leverages change. And some people perform slightly better at a lighter body weight. Like some people's, I don't know, their deadlift, for example, if your gut's in the way all the time and you can't get to the bar and you're lighter, then you're going to feel a little bit better, right? You're going to get better positioning, lift more, that kind of thing. But more often than not, it's a mental game where people think that they're going to get like less strong as they diet down. Like I'm pressing the same weights. I've progressed over my whole prep. I don't think I've had any regressions in any lifts through my whole prep. And I've dropped like near on 15 kilos. So it's a mental thing. Like, yeah, cool. Maybe if I was in a surplus, I would have got stronger, like lifting more heavy absolute loads. But I've taken progressions throughout the entirety of prep. So it's very doable. It's very doable. I think people just resign themselves to losing strength in a diet, however long that is. Yeah.
Do you think then if it's the case that while you're cutting down, you're getting stronger because you're leveraging more things, does that mean that you're not working as hard on your bulk as you could be?
No, I don't think so. I think that it doesn't, they're two separate things. So, I mean, if you notice massively a difference when you start dieting, yeah, then probably improve your food timing, your recovery priorities and stuff like that in your off season, because it should be just as hard. It's just a different kind of hard. It's like two ends of the spectrum, but they're both difficult because like in an off season, you can absolutely batter yourself in training because you should have more energy. You should be able to recover faster, but like you've got to prioritize that recovery because you've got that bigger budget of food. I mean, if we're talking like tested athletes, food is your main resource, food and recovery. That's it. If you have more of the food, assuming that you're perfecting your recovery elsewhere, then you should be able to train harder, recover harder, do better. So you shouldn't be working less, shouldn't be.
Yeah. To turn to the other side of that coin, so we were just speaking about bulking. A lot of people will get thrown off by that idea of bulk, typically girls.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people?
Please do it. Please, please, please do it. I attribute most of my size to having been very comfortable with getting, I mean, everyone has like a zone of comfort where they're happy to sit at that body fat, for example. You don't have to get fat when you bulk. You can just like sit a little bit above maintenance and then cruise in slow progression. That's fine. And you keep really quite respectable body composition, provided your respectable body composition is there in the first place. If you're not like, I mean, for female athletes, if you're like above 25% body fat, probably need to tidy up first. But if you're anywhere between like that 18 to 22% body fat mark, you can probably bulk. You're absolutely fine, provided you do it at like a moderate rate of gain. I feel like people need to do that more and be comfortable with doing that because you will build the muscle that you're looking for. Most of the time people are looking to build muscle, right? If you're bulking, I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do, or get stronger, right? yeah, you're going to be the most progressive. You don't spin your wheels. Don't waste your time doing a cut when you don't have the muscle there in the first place. You'll only be sad and hungry. Genuinely, yeah. Because most people don't realize how little muscle they have until they diet down and they're like, oh my God, that's really sad. And it's like, you could have spent 6 months gaining muscle before and then you can do a cut. Yeah.
Well, it might even be sometimes the opposite for guys, where they, at least I had this thought when I go to the gym. It's like, why bother cutting down right now when I've only been in the gym for 2, 3, 4 years, when I could be spending that time cutting, bulking, and then gaining more muscle. So why should I ever cut?
Yeah, that's valid. I think the main point to look at there is like not even one of self-image. It's about like efficiency of muscle gain. So when your body fat gets above a certain threshold, you do have less of an ability to partition food effectively, less of an ability to put on muscle. So you want to be in like a sweet spot of like, one, you want to feel good about yourself. I mean, relatively, you don't want to be like obsessed with like being lean because that's not productive or healthy. But you also want to be in that sweet spot of like being like, what's a way of putting it? Just being healthy physically. Because if you are too high a body fat, you're not healthy physically. Like you're not maximizing your ability to gain muscle. And if that's your one goal, then you should be thinking about that rather than like wasting like time doing cutting or whatever. You should just scale things back slightly into that zone that you want to sit in, because you're going to be the most productive there. It's like sitting in the right lane on the motorway. You can cruise at like 70. That's just at the speed limit. That's great. That's where you want to be. You don't want to be like going 90 and getting caught speeding and fucking yourself over, or you don't want to be cruising at 50 on a motorway. It's a waste of time. So like you want to be in that sweet spot of like just at the threshold of like how heavy you can sit comfortably because you've got the most food to play with and you've got the most like flexibility in your lifestyle, but you're gaining muscle at the best rate. I think that's for most people. Unless you're doing it like uber competitively, then it's very much like, where do I gain muscle at like the fastest rate? What body fat do I need to be at to gain muscle at the fastest rate for the time frame that I have? Because some people have like a multiple year long off season, and then you have a bigger allotted amount of time. You don't want to bulk too fast because you don't want to spend time wasting cleaning it up, and it's very situation dependent. But generally speaking, like cruising at that sweet spot is the best way to do it, because you're not too far away from being quite lean, but you're also like sitting at the maximum threshold of body fat, so you have the most freedom.
I see. Okay. Why do you think it is that most people don't want to bulk up? So we've spoken about what we should say to them, but why do you think they don't?
I think it's like the misconception of I'll get fat or I'll look fat, or just self-image. People always want to look leaner. That's like kind of normalized, right, in society. And like bodybuilding lean is very different from lifestyle lean, very different. But we normalize it a lot because we see it on social media. So I think that the main reason people don't want to bulk is because they see like people going on like these dreamer bulks and just putting on like 30 kilos. And you're like, cool. Like for me, if I put on 30 kilos and 10 of it was muscle, I wouldn't care. I'll be fine with it. But for other people, like the self-image side of things, as well as the health side of things, would be too much of a barrier. And that's what scares people away from bulking, I think.
You mentioned social media.
Yeah.
How has that affected your view of yourself in the bodybuilding space?
So it doesn't. I originally got social media, Instagram, to look at other bodybuilders to see what they were doing. This was like years ago, like we're talking like 2014 when I first started bodybuilding, because there wasn't anything out there. Like I couldn't find anything. It was like bodybuilding.com. That was about it. So yeah, I went on Instagram to find like other female bodybuilders as well as male bodybuilders, just to see what they were doing training wise, what their physiques looked like just educate myself as much as I could. So that's why I got social media. So it was very much a platform for that. And when I put stuff out there, it's very much like, this is my physique, this is what I'm putting out there. I'm proud of the work that I'm doing, and this is the journey. This is the real kind of like, I train hard to get the muscle that I have. I don't actually care what like strangers think, but I'm like, if anyone wants to see it and do the same thing that I did years ago and look at other athletes, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what their perspective is, here's an example. I'm here to take up space. I don't really care about what people's opinion is. So yeah, it doesn't really shape my self-image, because I'm there putting my image out. I'm not asking for people's feedback. I'll ask for the judges' feedback. That's about it, because I'm quite comfortable with how I present myself. So yeah, social media it's neat because you can share with other people what you're doing, and you can see what other people are doing. Like I can see my competitors and like how they go about things, and they can see how I go about things, and it's just interesting. But I can see how like there is a side of social media where if you're more inclined to hear and listen to other people's opinions, it could be a rough place because people are very brave with comments. People are very brave online. Yeah.
One of the things I speak about a fair amount is just it's your content diet is the main concern here.
Yeah.
It's not about how much you watch. I mean, extreme levels can be really bad for you.
Yeah.
But if you're using it for something positive in terms of like, oh, I'm looking at other competitors, or I'm listening to this sort of content that's nourishing my brain and making me think, then maybe it's not that bad of a place. But it's when you start going into the depths of like, oh, they're so much better than me, and like I wish I was there, and then you start getting into brain rot and stuff like that. It's like that's when it starts becoming a problem. So it's very dependent on what you watch and what you're using it for.
Yes, definitely. Like, I'm very glad that I never fell down that rabbit hole of like comparison, because I can see how that would be really not good for people. And I've had like athletes that I've spoken to that very much get caught up in that, like comparison, and like, oh, they're so much better than me, and they get concerned when they're leading into a show and stuff like that, or in off season. But it's just not. You need to be very present and aware of like what you're consuming, and realize that like at this point you're drinking poison. Like, don't have that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's a fairly hard circle to square, where it's like, how do I not compare myself to other people? It's a fairly difficult one.
You're not the judge in bodybuilding.
Yeah,
like it doesn't. The judges don't care what you look like at this one point. They care what you look like on the stage. So it's like, yeah, cool, I might be like fat right now, but I know I've put on so much size on my shoulders, for example, that like when I go on stage, I'm going to have that one winning point that I needed last time that I didn't have. And that's what the judges are going to see. Like, no one cares like what your scale weight is in the morning. No one cares like how much you lift, or whether you had a bad or good training session, or I don't know, like how many followers you have on social media. If you're doing it competitively for bodybuilding, all that matters is what you look like on the stage. And then you can compare up against other people. That's the only time comparison is really useful. Like on the stage, next to your competitors, in your quarter turns. And it depends entirely on what the judges say, because it's such a subjective sport. Like you get points, but it's not in the same way as like scoring a goal in football. So comparisons just, it doesn't bring you anything. It doesn't bring you anything, because also on social media, people can look a certain way, but you don't know what you look like until you're squared up next to them. Like, I had no idea that when I went to Worlds in 2021, that I'll be one of the tallest people on stage. I had no idea, because I'm not tall. I'm like 5'6" on a good day. But I had no idea that I would be like head and shoulders above most of the other women on stage. There's no way of knowing that. You could compare online and be like, oh my God, this person looks so much bigger than me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And actually, like, you've got like 20 kilos body weight on them. You have no idea. So it relies on your interpretation of that person as well, which is like not reliable, especially if you're in prep. Like, you can't trust your head. You just have to go by the numbers and just follow the numbers and do the do. Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you were comparing yourself to people and you had to work through that, or you've just never been a person who does that?
I think I've never been a person who's done that in bodybuilding. Like, I don't understand the value of it, because I was so disheartened by what I saw being presented at the level I wanted to be at. I didn't compare because I didn't want to be like that. So I wanted to showcase something that was different. I wanted there to be like as much size as possible. I wanted it to be like jaw-droppingly cool. That's how I see female bodybuilding. Like, I normalize the IFBB. Like, yeah, I compete tested, but you normalize the IFBB female bodybuilders. I'm looking at like Andrea Shaw, and I'm like, this is insane. This is so cool. And then I'm looking at the natural feds, and I'm like, wow, we got to do better. We got to do better. So I never compared to like anyone in the natural feds, because it wasn't what I wanted to be like. And I'm also realistic enough to be like, I can compare myself to Andrea Shaw, but like, I'm a tested athlete. Okay. I'm not Andrea Shaw, like, but I can definitely aspire to be as much as I can like that. And that's why it's never like disheartening. That's the only kind of comparison I make. Like, yeah. Or I'll see like some of the wellness IFBB women, like leg pressing like obscene amounts. And I'm like, I will leg press that one day. Yeah, I'll do that. That's the kind of comparison that I like to have.
That is a fucking awesome take, by the way. Just the idea that you need to, if you're comparing yourself to someone, that's you basically saying that I want to be like them, but that's not the point, because you're not ever going to be like them.
Yeah, you can do your version of that, or like take the bits that you want to do and then put your version out there. It's like saying like, I really like Picasso's work, I'm gonna copy Picasso. And it's like, you could just like see what you draw like in that art style. That's like, yeah. The same with bodybuilding. It's exactly that. Like, everyone's physique is different, but the point is you show your physique at the highest standard you can show it at. and we see what that physique looks like, because everyone's so different. Like, no one knew that they wanted to see someone who looked like, I go back to Nick Walker because he looks like an absolute freak. No one knew they wanted to see something like that until they saw that. And then there are people who hate how it looks, but there are also people who love how it looks. And you're like, had he not gone about like looking at it and going, I'm going to be the best that I can be, he might have looked at himself and been like, I don't have the greatest genetics for this. Like, I have a really wide waist or whatever. I don't know. And then not pushed it, but he did. And now we're here and we see physiques like that. So yeah.
It's a at least that sort of topic is a circle I've been trying to square. It's just this idea of finding admiration in envy. And it's a strange one, because you don't get envious of the people who are so far ahead of you. Like, I'm assuming that you wouldn't be envious of Mrs. Olympia or like any other bodybuilder in the natural division. Would be jealous of C-Bum. It wouldn't happen because he's so far ahead. It's just like,
it can only be admiration at that point.
It's only admiration. But I think you find that people become envious and jealous of the people who are only just a bit ahead of you.
Yeah,
it's like, and that I can do that.
Yeah, it's reachable.
But why am I not there?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I'm fortunate enough to not really experience that, I think, because what's the point in looking at someone who's like just there when you're there if you could look at someone who's there? That doesn't help. That's like looking at like the short term, or like you're a big fish in a small pond and you're just looking at the next big fish. You want to look at the big fish in the big pond.
That's awesome. That's a really good take on it. I got a question about when you get through prep and you're working hard, the work ethic's there, and you're pushing through stuff. Being on social media, there's a massive gym community now. What has working that hard through prep told you how hard people actually work in the gym?
I'm not gonna lie, prep is quite insular, so I don't really make kind of connections like that mentally with like my work ethic comparison to like other people's work ethics, or like I don't really assess other people's like effort levels, because it doesn't matter to me unless it's like an athlete I'm working with and I'm like, you could work so much harder. Here's an example. But I don't really make that comparison, to be honest. Like, I know that there's people out there who work so hard, and I know there's people out there who half-ass everything and complain about no results. But the only effort that I can control is my own. And I know, like, I go into every session and finish every session going, that's all I could give, boss. That's it. And throughout prep and throughout off-season, like, you're just shortchanging yourself if you don't try your hardest. Like, where's the fun unless you try your hardest? Like, yeah.
So when things are getting difficult, what do you tell yourself?
Isn't this silly? Yeah. When things are getting really difficult, I like to make jokes about it. Like, yeah, it's just, it doesn't ever have to be like super deep or meaningful. It can just be like, look at this really weird niche goal that I've set myself, and I'm going to absolutely annihilate myself giving it my best shot. It's kind of fun. And if you make light of it, like this happens at Unified all the time. There'll be like people going through like various diets or preps or peaks for comps and stuff like that. And we'll all just be sat there going, I'm suffering. This is hilarious, no? And there'll be someone else who'll be experiencing something similar, like a different tangent to it. But like, yeah, you have those discussions with other people and you're like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey has this idea that your default emotion should be a sense of humor.
That's great.
And then that's exactly what you're doing here. It's just like, it doesn't have to be like a whole hoodie on, I'm grinding, I'm really deep fighting demons.
Like, yeah, it's not that fun. I mean, the only time I'll be doing that is when I haven't had my coffee yet. Then I'm like, I'm cold, leave me alone. But that's not a mentality. That's like, I feel like I'm needing to be left alone. But like when it's like hard in prep, it's just you isolating yourself further doesn't help. And like trying to dig into the feeling of like feeling really rubbish doesn't help you. It's like being more positive about it, not toxic positivity, but like seeing like this is an opportunity. Like this sounds so pretentious, but like it's a privilege to be able to prep. It's a privilege to be able to push your body to like what you perceive to be its limits. So like experience that, allow yourself to experience it. Like the feeling of hunger is never gonna, like in a prep, never gonna kill you. Like yes, it kills people, but like the feeling of prep hunger is never gonna kill you. The feeling of like, I'm so tired, I don't want to do my cardio. You're not dying. It's just difficult, and difficult is okay. It's okay to experience difficult things, and you feel pride once you've experienced it and gone through it on the other side. So it's worth it.
What's toxic positivity?
As in like when you are overly positive and ignoring the reality of the situation. That's what I would say is toxic positivity, or like just choosing positivity over logic. I think that's probably a good way of putting it. Because sometimes it's like, you don't need to be massively positive about the situation. You can just be like, yeah, it's shit and it's difficult. That's okay. You don't need to be like, yeah, well, you get this out of it and you get that. Like, cool, you do, but like, let me accept the fact that this is just rough, you know? So there's times and places for it. I think some people probably think I'm fairly toxically positive sometimes, but it's like, that makes things easier. I want a good time. I don't want to just revel in rubbish, you know?
I mean, I guess where do you draw the line between the two, where it's like, I'm just being a pessimist versus I'm just being too optimistic?
I think it's situational, I think. Because like sometimes positivity is needed. Like when I say, like, I make a joke about like suffering, I'm like, yeah, this is hilarious. Like, I can't see straight, but like, it's kind of funny, no? Some people might be like, I'm concerned. That's like, why are you being positive about this? And it's like, no, that's actually kind of what I want and need in this situation. Or you could go down the other route of being like, never being positive about something and just choosing to have a bad day about everything, and it just makes it so rubbish. Like, so it's very situation dependent, I think.
Yeah, Alex Hormozi has this other idea, which is if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, you can be in a good mood for no reason.
That's so valid, yeah.
So that's exactly what you're doing. Whenever things are going bad, just, I guess, reframing it, perspective at the end of the day.
Yeah, perspective is important, because you can't, it's really easy to say like, oh, just choose to be happy about it or choose to be a pessimist about it, because sometimes it's not a choice, and like something is awful that's happening or something's amazing that's happening, but like you can reframe things. Like something can be rubbish, but you can change your perspective and it can be slightly less rubbish, or something can be amazing and you can change your perspective and be like, oh, there are caveats to this though. You know, it's always dependent on your perspective.
I'd imagine there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a huge amount of work ethic involved in what you do, and the bodybuilding side of things could be like a huge part of your character. If we were to forget about the bodybuilding,
yeah,
altogether, if you could describe yourself in 5 words, 5 different adjectives, yeah, what would those 5 words be?
Oh, that's hard. That feels self-indulgent. Stubborn. Is that an adjective? That's an adjective. I did do English. It's not my first language. Stubborn. Optimistic, inquisitive, 2 others are hilarious. Is that one? Yeah, that's one. I actually can't think of a 5th one. Yeah, I can't think of a 5th one.
Well, we'll do this with 4. Let's go through each of the words and why you think that you're this character trait. So the first one was stubborn.
Yes. I mean, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. I might be silly enough to ask for someone's advice or opinion on something, but I'm still going to do it. And I think it's a great trait. It's awful for everyone else, but it's great for me, because if I decide I'm going to do something and it's difficult or I hit roadblocks, it still gets done. And it makes it very easy to be like, to stick to my guns. So yeah, stubborn as an ass.
How do you deal with taking advice if you're that stubborn?
I'll put it like this: I've been self-coached my whole life. Advice is, I think I would rather have knowledge from someone than advice. That's my opinion, because I want to choose how I apply that. Someone's advice is almost like telling me what to do, and I don't want to be told what to do. I want to have the information so I can decide what to do, whether that's like life, bodybuilding, I don't know, puzzles. I don't seek out advice. I seek out opinion and information, and then I can synthesize that how I like.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at advice. I mean, one of the things I came across in a book that I read was that advice is just a stopgap measure. That it's not your solution to your problems, because at the end of the day, that advice is coming from their situation and their experience.
Exactly.
So it only applies to them.
Yeah, it's with their life experience up until that point, telling you what they think. And it's like, that could be jaded for so many reasons, or they might not know the full context, or you might not have explained your situation to them in an effective enough manner. So they have like a warped perspective of the situation, give you advice, and then you have a warped piece of advice. That's why it's like, their knowledge is valuable, and then you synthesize it and apply it to your situation. Also, it's your own shit. You've got to deal with your own things, you know? Yeah.
How many people would it take for the same for people to give you the same piece of advice for you to actually be like, maybe I should listen to what they're saying?
I'm still counting. I'm still counting. Yeah. If this is the whole stubborn thing, I will hear everyone in my life say something to me, and I will still have to find out the answer myself. Yeah.
I guess it's a double-edged sword, where on one side you have that level of agency and autonomy where you're not following what everyone else is doing just because everyone else is saying it, which is the good side of it. Whereas the other side of it being that if you don't take people's advice, you end up like walking through this minefield of tripwires and mines, and you're like, I'll tiptoe through this. I don't care how many people have
I've got to learn it for myself. I've got to do it. Yeah.
And then you're just trying to at least go through it yourself so you understand it instead of, and there's this thing called unteachable lessons. And it's just this idea that no matter how much history or the present or what other people tell us they've gone through, the emotional pull towards doing that thing ourselves is so much stronger than that pull back from other people telling us not to.
That's so true.
So we just have to go do it and learn for ourselves.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Definitely.
Optimistic.
Yes. I will always think I can make somewhere on time, and I don't. Yeah, optimistic. Well, because, best case scenario is usually what drives me to do things. I'm like, hey, this could work out like this if I do it, which is like a donkey with a carrot. Like, I'll do it because I can imagine the best case scenario. If you imagine the worst case scenario and you're a pessimist about things, like, cool, you might be prepared for the worst and you won't be disappointed, but like, all you'll think about is the worst, and you'll sell yourself short of so many opportunities if all you think about is like the worst way something could pan out. Also, it's just stressful. I don't want to think about that. Just if I ignore that, fine.
I am exactly the same, where I imagine the best case scenario and that keeps me going. The thing about you think that you're always going to be on time, there's a thing called Hofstadter's law, and it's essentially this idea that any task that you have with a given time period, the time taken to do that task will fill given time period, even if you take in the law. So even if you tell yourself like, okay, Hofstadter's law, this is probably going to take me longer than I think, and so you give yourself this time period, it'll still take that entire time.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so
there's the example that the famous one was that the Sydney Opera House was supposed to be completed in 4 years. It took 14 years.
No, I don't feel so bad about being late to things. Yeah, that's very accurate. Yeah.
Inquisitive.
Yes. I like to understand things. I find it hard to understand something unless I understand all of the cogs that are making it up. So I'll often ask why, and it gets me in trouble, but that's just how I have to learn things, really. Yeah.
How's that helped you in your entire life?
I mean, it's let me teach myself a lot about bodybuilding. Like, when I originally got into bodybuilding, I had no knowledge of nutrition, no knowledge of training whatsoever. And because I was inquisitive, I accessed my uni's sports campus library and got all the info I needed. And because I was inquisitive, I kept trying to learn and use myself as my own guinea pig. So it's great because it's research skills and stuff like that, I guess. Like, I have to know. I have to know why something is the case. If I don't have to know, it's because I don't care. It's because it's nothing to do with me and I'm not interested or whatever. But if I'm interested in something, I'll have to know how it works and all the cogs that move around it and the wider space around it, how that fits in amongst other things. It's just, I have to know the whole thing. Otherwise, I just don't get it and it doesn't make sense in isolation.
So it was about breaking it down to the first principles.
Kind of. But like also how it links in with other aspects. Like it could go for anything in life. Like, but I always attribute it to bodybuilding because it's such a big part of my life. I'm like, okay, cool. If I do this with my food, then how does that link to training? Because I need to know if this small change changes something over there. Like, it's all moving. It's all moving cogs. You've got to know how one affects the other to get like a proper picture of it. It's like, it's like you're on a web browser and you are like zoomed into 200%. Like, I can't just look at the 200% zoom. I have to be like zoomed out at like 50%. Then you can see the whole thing and you get a good picture of what's going on. But there's a time and a place for both because you have to see the whole picture in enough detail to get the full picture.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. It's like not this tunnel vision. And I'm assuming that's translated into your life when it comes to like, oh, I'm thinking more long term than I am short term because you're looking at the bigger picture. Yeah. How do you retain this knowledge that you learn? What's your best route for that?
I think using it. using the knowledge, because there'll be like, there's lots of knowledge that I've obtained that I don't keep in my head. I can refer back to it, or when I need to apply it, I refresh myself and I go, oh yeah, of course, because you've understood the concept in the first place, because you understand it wholly at the start and you learn it. That never really disappears, but you might need a refresher, and then you're like, oh yeah, this concept that I've fully learned previously, it comes back to you straight away. But I don't retain everything instantly. Definitely not. It's like situational. Again, like if you do something day in, day out, that's going to stay there. If you don't do it day in, day out and it's less regular, then you probably need a refresher, and then you're well acquainted with it again.
It's this, you don't learn from repeated exposure, repeated recall. So if you're able to recall that information, like one thing I love to do whenever I learn something new is just bring it up in conversation as soon as I can. So when I speak to someone, I'm like, oh, I learned this thing, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I tried to teach it to them.
And then you're teaching, yeah, that's the best way of learning something, is teaching it to someone else as well, because you have to know it inside out to be able to explain the new concept to someone. That's definitely something I learned actually a lot in uni. They made us like explain theories to other people in other, like, there were classes where people were from different like courses and you had to explain a concept to them, but there was a bit of crossover so they could kind of understand, but like it was a whole new concept to them, and it's like, you're going to fail if you can't explain this concept to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. How do you know about it? So yeah, it's very valid.
Yeah, what I literally did this the other day when I was trying to be fair, this was really random. I was thinking of words to use in my vocabulary, and I remembered one. I was just like, altruistic. What the hell? What does that mean? So then I searched it up, and then I went down this entire rabbit hole, understanding both sides of why there's an altruism debate, and then how there's like 3 different parts of the brain that people are talking about when it comes to altruism. It's
down the rabbit hole.
And as soon as I learned that, I made sure to tell everyone in the gym about it.
Because then you're not going to forget that. You're not going to forget that at all.
Yeah, exactly. I still remember it. So the 4th one, hilarious.
Yeah. I like to have a sense of humor about things. I mean, other people might not think I'm funny, but I think I'm funny, and I do things that I think are funny. So it's entertaining for me. But yeah, I like to have a sense of humor about things.
And do you think sometimes that this sense of humor offsets this when a negative situation happens? So you're not able to deal with the negative situation because you're offsetting it with this sense of humor?
You mean coming from a perspective of like leaving things actually like not sorted out? Because yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm really avoidant. Yeah, definitely. But it's like sometimes the best action is no action. So you might have a negative situation that you feel drawn to put yourself into and get involved and act on it, when actually no action is needed. Often it's better to let something bad happen, for example, or to accept that bad thing has happened, rather than try to like pick up the pieces desperately and scramble. Like sometimes it's like, okay, that was rubbish, let's move on, that kind of thing.
How do you dictate between one of the two? How do I know that I need to leave it to the side versus how do I know that I need to get into it?
I think it depends entirely on the situation. Again, it's one of those things where like, okay, cool, like, I don't know, you see someone who's about to hit a dog in the road with their car, you're like, you would shout. You can see that you can prevent that bad thing from happening. It's clearly a bad thing that's going to happen. You can prevent it. Whereas if it's already happened and there's no damage mitigation that you can do, well, why are you doing something? If there's no damage mitigation you can do, all you can do is like sulk about it. And it's like, why would you sulk? That's not productive. Like, unless it's like emotionally a need for you, fine, go ahead and do it. But I don't feel like that's useful for me. So I'm like, might as well make a joke about it. That was terrible. Haha, let's move. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it as well, where it's like, if it's happened, what's the point of dwelling over it? It's like you're just having more wasted time. I had this thing, so there's this concept called memory dividends. And memory dividends is essentially this idea that for the memories that you have, as time goes by, there'll be interest paid on that investment that you've put into that memory. So if I decide to take like a month trek to Thailand in my 20s, for the rest of my life, I'm going to get paid in dividends of remembering that memory of that moment. So then I thought of this concept called regret dividends, where it's like the pain and sorrow that you get from remembering a regret and regretting a regret that you've already had. So if you regret the wasted time and potential, for example, now that you're thinking about that regret of wasted time and potential, you're regretting that regret of wasted time and potential, which then in turn, as time goes by, you're going to then look at that moment again where you've wasted time and potential, regretting the regret of the wasted time and potential.
So it increases exponentially, really, right? Yeah, exactly. So why not just make a joke about it and move on?
And then move on from the period where you are now. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have a fair social media presence now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of incels there who have things to say because you're a woman in a fairly male dominated sport to a wandering eye. What's your relationship with haters?
I just let them go for it. Like I don't like delete comments or anything like that unless it's something that's like really horrendous that would be like bad for other people to see. Like, because I've seen some things. There've been maybe like 3 or 4 situations where someone has said something so bravely that has been like, that would be damaging to younger audiences to see, or to people who are in like vulnerable populations or anything like that. I don't want them seeing that. So it's my choice to remove those comments, which is really, really rare. Other than that, I'm like, it speaks volumes about you as a person if you are brave enough to say some of the things that you're saying publicly. Like, some of them are like anon accounts. I'm like, cool. I don't care. You're literally a floating head on a phone that I can put to the side and carry on with my life, right? Some of them go through great depths to explain why they're so upset about what they see. And I'm like, that's really bad for you. Sorry. Don't come here. That's it. So yeah, people have just taken time out of their day to say some of these things. And some of them are just bored and just typing stuff. And some of them are like really dedicated haters. Most of the time I don't even see them because I keep my comments like not turned off, but like I don't get notified of comments. So like the only time I'll really see comments is if Instagram chooses to say that it's a priority comment from someone I know, or it's like something that's shown to me by someone else. Like, I didn't know that there were videos of me circulating that someone else had taken my videos and made stitches out of it. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense why like I seem to see like hundreds of comments of someone being like, brother, auntie, I don't know what's going on, but like there's something going on. And then I find this video of me and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Tag me at least.
What's one of the worst comments that you've gotten, if you can say it?
I'm not going to say the whole thing, but it's people joking about rape.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something that I will remove off my comments because that's not okay. Like, yeah, I have taken screenshots of those before and sent them to people's employers.
Wow.
Yeah, or the gyms that they go to. Because like, you deserve to be publicly shamed. Like,
has there been any repercussions from that when you've sent it to the gyms or employers?
One person's been banned from their gym. I don't know about employers because it's usually just an email. So I don't really care other than that. But I'm like, I can be petty. I'm not going to take too much time out of my day. But sometimes when it's as abhorrent as that, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not okay. Because I've seen where it's gone to a point of like people commenting like in DMs and stuff like that, certain things. But then I've seen it escalate to a point where actually this is a person that goes to the gym of someone that I know who is actually a member of the gym saying this to another member of the gym. This isn't like unified or anything, I have to say that. But I've observed, yeah, someone being a hater and then someone threatening this person, someone being outside the gym that they're in, someone threatening to burn their house down. And yeah, honestly,
wow. It's
wild. But like, you get so little support when you have situations like that from Instagram, from the police, from even gyms. There's so little support sometimes for those people that I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a point. You chat shit, you get banged. So don't do that to me. Yeah. But like most of the time when it's just comments, okay, say what you like. It's a free world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess when there's more humans, things become less humane to sense.
Yeah.
And I guess with social media as well, when you're looking at someone on the screen, it's like they're not a human to you. They're not real.
Yeah.
So you can just kind of, I'll say whatever.
I think people feel like there aren't repercussions. Like if you said that to my face, I'd probably headbutt you. But if you say that online, there aren't any repercussions. Because like I've reported certain things to Instagram and it's like, no, that's like really bad. You can't be saying that on social media. Like it's not like saying a nasty thing to me. I don't care about that. You can say whatever you like. But these things are like, this is a hate crime. This is an actual hate crime that I'm witnessing and I'm screenshotting and I'm sending to Instagram. And they go, didn't violate our community guidelines. I'm like, so what are your community guidelines at this point? Like, are we reading? Are we not reading? So yeah, the people never cease to amaze me.
Yeah, about not caring much about what people say online. There's this concept called tilting at windmills, and it's just that an online stranger has too little information on you, too meager to even form a phantasm. So when they're insulting you, they're just insulting their own imagination. So
valid. Yeah.
there's no point to take it
Yeah.
personally.
It's like the whole concept of that's more of a reflection of them than it is of me. Like someone can say something about me, but it's like you're the one who's choosing to use those words, and it reflects on you. Your name's next to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their perspective as well. It's like you viewed this in this sort of way, and it's just again a reflection of who they are.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll get people who go to my page and write a comment, and it's like, well, clearly you don't know what you're doing because like you haven't seen my Instagram page. It literally says female bodybuilder. Like I do bodybuilding and I'm a female, and your 2 questions are, what is this? Is this a girl? Like it's like, okay, research skills, any of those? Reading, can we do that? Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to go all in on the bodybuilding side of things or the coaching?
From the start, bodybuilding. From the start, like the first time I stepped in a gym, like I think it was my very first session that I realized like I was not about the treadmill. I was not about that. I went like to the downstairs section because it was like, honestly, it was my uni like campus gym and I had access to it. I was like, cool, this is free. This is great. Went in there and I was like, okay, the entrance was upstairs. And I was like, there's like cardio kit. And I'd never been in a gym before. I was like, okay, cool. I'll get on one of these, I guess, and see what's going on. It was a treadmill. I was like, I hate this. This is awful. Went downstairs and it was literally all women upstairs, men downstairs. And I was like, well, I'm going to have at it. Like, this is literally a playground. And I like played around on like deadlifting and doing some leg press and like tried pull-ups, which I couldn't do. And I was like, this is literally like a grown-up playground. This is amazing. And from that moment, I was like, yes, this is great because there's like, I'd started educating myself a little bit about bodybuilding with the concept of like, okay, this is a set, this is a rep, this is a workout. How do we lay out a workout? Like really basic stuff. And I was like, I loved that it was something that I could get my teeth into that was so bound by numbers and routine and like incremental gains. It was like leveling a little video game character, but I was a video game character. I say that a lot, but it's so like that. And I just loved it from the get-go. I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. And I've just continued like, since I started bodybuilding, it's always been like the goal is to be the biggest I can be, the best I can be, and go from there.
How did you deal with turning it into a career? Because a lot of people can, at least when you turn a passion into career, a lot of people then fall out of love with their passion. Mostly because like if I give an example, you love the sport of paddle, right? You play paddle with your friends. When it's raining, you don't have to play paddle. When you're sick, you don't have to play. You play when you want. But now you're thinking, you know what, I'm getting pretty good at this sport. Let me turn this into a profession. So you turn it into a profession, and now when it's raining, you have to play. When you're ill, you have to play. When your friends can't play, you still have to play. And I guess that can suck out the joy that you had previously when it was your passion.
Yeah.
When you turn into career. So has that ever been a situation for you? And maybe if it has, how do you deal with the days when things do go hard?
I don't think it has because I think even though I coach bodybuilders, the act of bodybuilding is very different from the coaching of bodybuilding. Like you get bodybuilding coaches out there who are the most phenomenal coaches who will take people to the Olympia multiple times over and win the Olympia in whatever class they go to. But they're not the athlete, they're the coach. And the same goes for athletes. You'll get athletes who are like top tier athletes, the multiple time winners of competitions. But they wouldn't be a great coach, for example. They're 2 separate things. So like for me, even though I do one and I do the other, they are separate enough that like one doesn't bleed into the other. For me, bodybuilding is very insular. It's very like individual. I don't like training with other people. I don't associate my training and my bodybuilding with my coaching at all. So it's never really been an issue. And like I truly enjoy every aspect of bodybuilding. Like even though it's difficult, even though it's hard, there is fun in doing that. Like it will always be fun. Like there's days that are like not fun inherently, but like the entire process is wholly enjoyable, regardless of what's going on with coaching. And even the coaching side, because it's so detached from the bodybuilding side, I always enjoy it. Like yes, there are harder days, there are easier days. Like if you have an athlete that can't make weight for whatever reason, that's stressful, right? But it's still enjoyable. So neither of them feel like work. It's weird. It's great, but it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I guess my question is, there's a lot of people out there who want to, I guess, do something different than what people usually do. You know, like it's like I'll get out of school, go to uni, get a job, get a start family, and that's like the typical route of life. There's a lot of people who don't want to follow that path.
Understandable.
How did your parents react to that you bringing it up? Like, I want to do bodybuilding and career.
I didn't ask. Again, it comes to the asking for people's opinions and their advice. I didn't ask. It's my body. It's what I want to do with myself. Like when I started bodybuilding, I was already doing my degree, my undergrad degree. And for my parents, their only main thing that they really cared about was don't get into prison and do a degree. That's it. Whatever you want to do it in, but you do a degree. That was compulsory. And I was already doing my degree, and then I went and got a master's degree after anyway. So they were like, yeah, boxes ticked. That's fine. That's fine. So they were never really fussed. They've always been like, you do what you want to do in life as long as you do it properly, which is great. But I think that I never really wanted to do like a 9-to-5 job ever, like in my life. I do not dream of labor. Do not dream to work. But I'm aware that the world runs on money. Like you need money to survive. Whoever said money doesn't buy happiness is wrong, and they've never not had money. They've never not had money. I'm sorry. It's a lie. Like, okay, yeah, I'm sure there are some situations where you can't buy happiness. Like if you're dying and money can't fix it, yeah, you're still dying, right? But it's just you need to earn to make a living, to live your life. So that is the realism of it. But it's like I've worked plenty jobs before using my nutrition work and bodybuilding work and PT to earn an income. Like I very much, I know that I'm privileged to be able to do that, but also it took like a big jump of faith. Like I quit my job in finance to do nutrition work, to do bodybuilding, to do PT. And that was quite the jump. That was like jump in the deep end. Let's see how it goes. Because it was very comfortable working in finance. It was great. I could work like the set hours I wanted to do. I could pay my bills absolutely fine. And it was like a known entity, and it was like pretty easy, pretty good progressions. But it was still a 9-to-5, and it was still just something that didn't let me wholeheartedly dive into bodybuilding in the same way that I can now. So yeah, it's just I suppose just going and doing what you want to do regardless of what other people think.
Yeah, I guess what you said about your parents saying that just do what you want to do but do it well, it reminds me again of Matthew McConaughey. When he called his parents saying that he wanted to go to film school instead of whatever school that his parents wanted to go to, his dad said on the call, don't half-ass it. And it's just, I think that's such a great, I think at least with the way that parents should direct their children and that sort, it's like it's great where, yeah, you should probably work for a degree if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. It's like you should probably go down that route. It's the safest route.
Yeah,
it's like
to be at least.
Yeah. But I guess what all parents want is that they want their children to see this route and then blow right out of it.
Yeah.
And I guess that is kind of what you did, and you didn't need to take permission for that because you've blown right out of that path. You did what they expected. So I mean, I'm guessing it's because they wanted you to fall back on something.
Yeah, I suppose they wanted me to have like some kind of academic backing. They're big on that. And like I was always decent academically at school and stuff like that. So they were like, you do a degree, that's no questions asked. You do a degree because their thought process was you always will have a job if you get a degree. You always have a job in something if you get a degree. They didn't know my degree would be in physical geography. But like the point was like, once you have that degree, you have that backing. That's their theory. And like, that's how they've known life. It's like, get a formal education and work for someone, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't fault that. That works for a lot of people. And I will never degrade that because that's exactly what some people want to do. But that wouldn't work for me. And it took being later in life to realize like that didn't work for me. So yeah, here I am, I guess.
Yeah. So going back to the gym topic, how has that discipline developed from prepping, going to the gym? How has that translated into your normal life?
I mean, it runs my day. Yeah. I mean, my day is run around bodybuilding, usually. I joke all the time about the fact that I wouldn't know how to run my life if I didn't have bodybuilding because it provides a structure for me. Like, I thrive off of structure, and when I don't have it, it's kind of like, what now? What's going on? So it's kind of become my life as opposed to changed how I run it. It's like that runs it. That runs my life. Yeah.
Then I guess the question is, were the character traits that we went through before, were those part of you before you got into bodybuilding, or was that as a result of bodybuilding? Because if I were to ask you, let's strip bodybuilding away, if you weren't doing bodybuilding, what else would you be doing?
Damn, that's a good question. I have no idea. Probably playing the last sport that I was into, squash. Yeah. Yeah, I've always been like into physical activity, sports, like in general. So a lot of those character traits, yeah, they were pretty much still there. That's my character, and it just, what you see now is how it's translated into bodybuilding, and how it was before is how it would translate into any other point in my life that I was at. But there's still like firm character traits that I've had all my life. I've always been stubborn. I've always been inquisitive. I've always been hilarious. But yeah, so it's, what you're seeing is, yeah, a result of my current circumstances.
Are there any traits that did develop after you started doing bodybuilding? Because I guess a lot of people will see someone who's in shape, and you can kind of gauge what kind of person they are from like when you see a physique, where it's like, okay, you have a good physique, I can probably trust you, you're a hardworking person, you have a lot of determination, discipline.
Yeah.
So what traits do you think developed after you got into the sport? And maybe that might be an inspiration for people to get in.
I would say confidence. Yeah. I was never that confident. I was stubborn, but like not outwardly confident about it. And I think bodybuilding has enabled me to empower myself, at least on a physical level, and be very confident with, I'm portraying myself physically at least, and I get to choose how I speak and stuff like that, in exactly the way that I want to portray myself. Like, I'm very happy with how I present myself as a result of bodybuilding. Like, I get to walk around, obviously I'm trying to improve my physique all the time, but I get to walk around bearing the result of my hard work. And that's exactly what I want to do. Like, the actions speak words for you. So I think confidence is probably the main trait I would say has developed through bodybuilding. Like, yeah, confidence, self-assurance.
Yeah, self-assurance. Was there ever a point, because I think I had this point when I started going to the gym, where you kind of gained some knowledge in the sport, but then that some part of knowledge gives you this excessive confidence in what you're doing because you aren't aware, you're kind of ignorant of what else there is.
Yeah.
You know the tip of the iceberg and you think you've discovered it all.
Yeah, there's a word for that. There's like a curve for that, where like the less you know, the more you don't realize you don't know, or something like that. And then there's like a peak and a drop. Yeah. I think probably, but it was very inward. It was very inward. It was never like outwardly like confident or like outwardly self-assured, because it goes back to the whole Instagram thing of like, I was on Instagram observing all of these like IFBB pros and like top contenders in bodybuilding. So I tried to keep myself, and I think, and I still am, as humble as I can be, in the sense of like, there are people out there who are absolutely amazing at what they do. Shut up, sit down kind of thing. You know, like, you can try to be like that and you can be happy with your progress and like really chuffed that you're doing well, but like, you're not where you want to be yet. So like, sit down kind of thing. But I think the confidence about actions that I'd taken, yes, in terms of like, oh, I understand this concept now, I'm going to do this with my food, or I understand this concept now, I'm going to change my training like this. Definitely. But the more you learn, the more you realize like you can be like so more flexible about things. I used to be really, really particular about, my training is on this day, this day, this day. It has to be this day of training on a Tuesday, this day of training on a Thursday, this day. And then I realized as time has gone on, actually, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Just do your training, do it hard, do it on the day where it fits in. Have structure, aim for structure. Don't let it just fly off the handle. But like, don't beat yourself up mentally about like, oh my God, my training is going to have to be a day later, or I'm going to have to train in the evening or the morning. Like, fuel yourself appropriately and get on with it. And that is way more sustainable. And you just get more stuff done that way. So yeah, the whole confidence about action, yeah, definitely that applies.
You've been doing this for 10 years now, you said. How do you think you've figured out all there is that there needs to know, or that you're still learning more? And then I guess my question is, if you're still learning more, how do you find a distinction between someone who's someone who comes to you and tells you something? Because I like to have the idea that anyone you talk to knows something that you don't, right?
Yeah.
But how do you then find a distinction between someone who's coming to you telling you something that maybe you've not heard of before, but just sounds stupid,
yeah,
versus someone who's actually telling you something that is new and novel and actually useful?
Yeah. So that's when I first started bodybuilding, I used the phrase with my two sisters who started alongside me, gold dust. And like, when we'd get these nuggets of knowledge from people that we thought were knowledgeable, we'd always go and do our own research about it, but you'd get like a new exercise or a little bit of like advice on how to do something, or like a new concept taught to you. You'd be like, I just heard some gold dust today, let me share it. But then you'd have to go away and try to research the concepts behind it as to like, why is this the case? Is this actually the case? It's like the whole critical thinking side of things. Like, a lot of people don't have that, but we work. You can hear something, but you've got to fact check it. You've got to fact check, like, is this shit? Like, is this new supplement amazing? Is it safe for me to take? Like, don't just take people's word. Like, have something about yourself. Go educate yourself about it. Learn the background and learn whether it applies to you, because it might not even apply to you. It might be, hey, I found this because of this, and you're like, okay, cool. That machine fits you perfectly, and that setting's great because you were built like that. It's not good for me. I could have gone on that and gone on that piece of machine and gone absolutely insane because it doesn't work for me and something's wrong. But like, if you do your research, you'd understand why. So always treat people with respect if they're coming at you with information when you've asked for it. If you haven't asked for it, why are you talking to me? But always come at it from a perspective of like intrigue and respect, and then fact check it after. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about fact checking stuff, because a lot of people nowadays will hear something that I guess validates their own thinking process.
Yeah.
And instead of fact checking it, they'll then make that their own belief.
Yeah.
And a lot of people live in this state where it's defending ideas from other people for that aren't even theirs.
Yeah.
Like you down a hill for someone else's idea.
Yeah. And you're like, have you checked that this is valid? Have you seen whether this actually applies to these scenarios that you're now discussing and debating about, you know? Yeah. I try not to get too emotionally attached to like theories, because like the second you get latched onto one, you kind of disregard the other, and both could be valid. So yeah, I try not to get caught up in that, you know?
It's a good proxy of at least with unique ideas and innovation. It's like, if you want to have your own thinking that isn't someone else's thinking, just research the thing.
Yeah. Make up your own opinion about it, you know? Like, you've got to fact check stuff. You have to. It's the same as like, if you have a friend who goes, this person did this the other day, you're like, if you just fully believe that without checking what's going on, like, you could be barking up the wrong tree, you know? You've got to fact check it. Otherwise, you're just completely misled, and then you're the idiot.
Yeah, information from one corner is typically skewed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Well, if this podcast were the last thing that you ever did,
wow, that's intense.
What's a piece of advice you'd leave to everyone?
Try. Just try hard and whatever you do, I guess. Yeah, that's the best bit of advice, because I think that could apply into all walks of life, all situations, all experiences. Like, people sell themselves short when they don't try, and I feel like that's just doing yourself a disservice. So try.
Yeah, try hard.
Even just try. Sometimes it doesn't have to be trying hard. It just has to be, give yourself the opportunity. Just allow yourself to try, because like, people often are like frozen in fear of like, oh, I can't do this thing, like if, but, what? And it's like, just try. You don't have to go in like super intense or like buy all the kit to try this one project. Like, just try it.
Yeah, there's just this great bar that I heard, which is just, the only way to know if something's going to work is if you try it. That's the only way you're going to, like, I had this, I always had this situation in my head where it's like, oh, what if I do this? And what are the consequences? It's like, even on a basic level, let me go ask that person out, you know? You've already created this reality in your head, like, oh, it's not going to work out, so I shouldn't even do it. But then the reality is, in this existing moment, nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened at all. I had this situation when I first started the podcast and I went to ask people to be on the show. I convinced myself that it was going to turn out really badly. Like, but I never ended up doing it. But then, until I convinced myself, like, right now, before I had this thought and after I had this thought, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So the only way I know what's going to happen is actually by going and asking and then seeing what happens.
Exactly. Try. Yeah. See, it's the answer.
Layla Daniel, thank you for being on the show. Where can people go to see what you're doing?
Instagram. Yeah, because I'm Pegasus on Instagram. That's the best place. I will have a YouTube.
Where did that name come from?
Pegasus is just a really neat mythological creature, and that's it. That's the one. I didn't want my name to be my handle when I first got Instagram, so because I'm Pegasus.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the one.
Awesome.